Well, I think, oh, here comes Venus. So with that, I think we'll start because people have dinner going in the oven. So hi parents and teachers and administrators. Thank you for coming to the virtual Parents Association meeting. We have our whole executive board here. So I'm Evie, and I am the PA president this year, and my son is a sophomore. And Andy and Owen and Fanny, if you could unmute and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Owen. I'm the treasurer. Nice to see you all.
Hey, I'm Andy Shelgren. I'm vice president, and my son River is a senior. So great to see everybody. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Fanny. I'm the secretary, and I have a daughter who's a junior.
All right.
Fanny.
So this is, it's not a typical PA meeting. First of all, according to Chancellor's regulations, which is A660, all parent association meetings have to occur on the school premises. However, once all the schools were closed, the Chancellor made an emergency, change to the rules where temporarily they can occur and parents can meet and talk over Zoom or any other virtual platform. So it's just a great opportunity for us to check in with each other and get reports from administration and get some questions answered and ask some questions of our own. One thing that has not changed is we are still not allowed to vote, even though we can meet. So it kind of ties our hands a little bit in what we can do. So for instance, large fundraising projects that we would normally either be doing this time of year or planning this time of year, they have to wait, not just for us, but for every school. They kind of have to wait a little bit until we know what can happen next. So just so you guys know that we won't be voting on transferring large sums of money or just making that decision without telling you guys, but that's what we're sort of, those are the rules that we have right now. Another thing that I wanted to share is normally in April we would have put together a nominating committee, and in May, but certainly by mid-June, we are supposed to, all PAs are supposed to have had an election. However, all elections across the city have been put on hold for all PAs of all grade levels. So I'm sure that something will be coming out from the Chancellor's office by July 1st about how to handle that and what to do next. And that's because as of July 1st, technically the way it is now, all PAs are null and void if they haven't had a fair election. However, you can't have a city with no more parent associations. So I'm sure the Chancellor will address that. And as soon as we, the executive board, find out, we will tell everybody what's going to happen next. But for right now, you may be stuck with us for a few months because there's no election yet. Okay.
Evie, can I ask you a quick question?
Absolutely.
It seems like this could be embraced as a way of the future.
Hope so.
Yeah. What's the body that urges the Chancellor to look at some new regulations, or how does that unfold so we could do these and we could buy things off eBay and, just loosen up those types of traditional regulations, or head that way?
So I agree with you, and I think maybe a lot of parents on this Zoom would agree with you because we have more parents here now than we usually do at an in-person PA meeting. So it's just a lot easier for people to be able to do this. I think the Chancellor, it's a combination of working with the mayor and hearing from the superintendents, and there's President's Council, and then there's like a CECs, and then like the District Education Council that the community education councils report to. Luke is saying yes, it's the CECs and the District Education Councils. So Luke, can you unmute yourself and sort of help me explain how would be the best way for people to sort of make their opinions known so that maybe the Chancellor might change a regulation? Do you have more intel on that?
I mean, I think that through those councils is definitely like the way to influence policy. I just saw today that the governor, I think that the state is using the Gates Foundation, right, Bill and Melinda Gates, to sort of like use this as an opportunity, right? So like while there's so many terrible things going on, there is an opportunity to rethink public education. That's sort of the statement at this point, but they're putting, they're putting some effort into thinking about that. And I mean, of course, I think we would love to have, there's 29 of us on here right now. There's usually on a good night 10 to 12 of us in room 425. This is a huge increase, and I think that giving more access, right, and easier. It's hard to get to downtown Manhattan, right? I know where you all live. We have families that live in all 5 boroughs, across everywhere. So,
and they have other children too. There are other kids, and you have to make dinner, and you're coming from work, or you're working nights. Like I 1,000% agree. I thought that rule was antiquated before COVID-19, and I think most of us did too. But we also do have to abide by a 660, just in case, if a parent ever complained or called in and said, my PA is doing this wrong, we could get like audited or disbanded, and nobody wants that. Like, you want a working PA at your school so that we can fundraise when we're allowed to fundraise.
PA's gone rogue. It would be,
I know, right?
It would be right on the front page of the news.
But some of them then get called on the carpet. I don't want to wind up in handcuffs, because
I got your back, Evie. I got your back.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So I have a little list of, so again, the agenda, usually we have a printed agenda, and we usually have a guest speaker of some sort or presentation. And tonight it's a little bit more compact. But I do want to touch on things like we will have a principal's report. It may be very brief, but we will have a treasurer's report telling us how we're doing, and an SLT report, which I guess I can share now. The SLT always meets. That's the school leadership team. And we met just before this, and just very broad strokes. We talked about some things like final grades, which I know that Luke will cover very high level with you guys. And we talked about the goals for the school for the year, some of which were, college readiness and grades, which we still think that we are on track for. And, Luke will probably have an announcement about college as well during his presentation. So why don't we move it over to the principal's report? And by the way, if people have questions, you can raise your hand in Zoom if you don't know how to do that. If you're on a computer, on the bottom, there's a reactions button, and over on the side, there's a participants button, and next to your name, there'll be an option to digitally raise your hand. Or easiest is also to type into the chat box, and then everybody will be able to see your question. I would love to unmute everybody, but when we have 30 people unmuted and there's a lot of background noise, it can get a little crazy.
Thanks, Evie. So I've got a few announcements to make. The first one that I'm really excited about is we have 183 students that have been accepted to Maker Academy for this next year. That is way more than we've ever had. And it's really, really, really exciting for us. We have to figure out where we're going to put them. However, again, this is all like really good problems to have. So our numbers continue to increase in terms of not only the number of kids that are applying, but the Department of Education is continuing to want to expand us. So that's just really great. And when you have more kids, you get to hire more. And so Chad Friday is waving now. He's on the call. And we hired him last year from another urban assembly school. And he's been working as our instructional coach this year. But as of about an hour ago, he was finalized as our second assistant principal. So Chad is joining us now as an assistant principal, and so I just wanted to introduce him. Chad, do you want to say anything inspirational to us here for just a second?
Just thank you so much for welcoming me into your community. I've really enjoyed working with everyone at UA Maker, and when Luke and Liz told me that they wanted to offer me this, I couldn't resist because they're so great. And when great leadership is present, you want to be a part of that leadership. And I've just really been impressed with them. And I know that this situation that we've been through has demonstrated that further to us. And I just have really enjoyed being a part of this community this year as an instructional coach. I'm really excited to take it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you.
Thanks, Chad. Woo. So yeah, we're really excited about Chad starting this new role with us. In other news, I want to thank so many of you that were able to give to our scholarship fundraiser that we just finished up over the course of April. So we were able to fundraise over $20,000 over about 3 weeks, which is more than we've ever fundraised before in that short amount of time. And we're able to use that money to help give scholarships out to several of our seniors, which is just fantastic. So we just finished up with Decision Day on Friday last week, and for the third year in a row, 100% of our kids are accepted to college, which is great. There's 88% of them that have made a decision on where they're going to be attending, which is really fantastic. So thanks to everybody for helping support that. It just makes a really big difference to a large group of our kids, and our goal is to keep those, to be able to do the same thing next year, and just keep on supporting our kids through college. So the next, just couple of announcements. I'm just going to kind of summarize. I sent an email out to all parents, students, and teachers earlier today. So I won't read the whole thing to you. If you did not get that email though, please, it would be super helpful just to throw your email address into the chat so that we can make sure that you're on all of our listservs. So in the email, there were sort of like 3 big topics. The first one, I just put in the student schedule again. So after the spring break, in quotes, that we had, we modified the schedule based off of feedback from parents and teachers and students. And so there's a copy of that schedule in there. It's really important, right? We've got about 6 or 7 weeks left. It's important that kids are logging on to their calls with their teachers and checking in with their teachers. So every class meets twice a week, and there's 1 assignment for each class that's due on Fridays, right? So please make sure that you're checking in, with your kids. I have a 5th grader, checked in with her earlier today. She swore to God she was like turning in everything, and she was turning in about 60%. So like, that's the principal's kid. So like, please, and I got her back on track, but like, it's just important, right? If they nod their head and shake their head and it's like, yeah, I got it. Like, just take 2 minutes and have them show you, right, that they actually submitted that work. So advisory meets every day, right? And that is the place where we are taking attendance, right? So if your child checks in with their advisor, they're going to be marked present. It's really important, if they can't make that advisory time, to still send a message to their advisor, right? Like, just like they would at work or just like they would at college, right? Like, hey, I can't make the call today, but I'm, alive, I'm well, I just have to go do this thing, right? We want to try to stay in as much contact with their advisors as possible. So if you can just ask them every day, hey, did you send the text to your advisor? Were you on the call? Did you email them? That would be super that would be super helpful as well. The final thing, and then I'll just take any questions about any of this. We've been talking a lot about final grades, and the chancellor and the mayor last week sort of announced what the city's policy is with that. And what the city said was that if students have a failing grade at the end of the year, right, that they get an incomplete, right, and that they have the summer and then into the fall in order to pass that class. Okay, what a lot of students, parents, principals, lots of people heard was that students can't fail, right? And there's a difference between saying you can't fail and everyone passes, right? And that's something I just want you to think about for a second. There's a difference between saying that no student can fail a class and passing a class, right? So just to be clear, what they said, right, was that if there's a failing grade in June, right, they have to go to summer school, or they have up until January of 2021, right, to finish the work associated with that course. The first 3 kiddos that I talked to earlier this week all said, well, I'm not doing work because we can't fail. And I like dropped the pencil out of my hand and then like had to walk them through how these things are not, it wasn't computing accurately for them. So the message is, right, students still need to be completing work, right? And we've really, with that new schedule, tried to really tone back like the amount of work that we're giving. We know it's not completely perfect for everyone, but it's really important that students are still submitting work. Teachers are targeting their assignments to specific skill sets that they know students have struggled with in the past in an attempt to boost those grades up. Just going to pause there. Are there questions? If people want to raise their hand, or Liz, Chad, have there been any questions in the chat that have sort of come up?
Question came up, but it was earlier about something else.
Okay.
But it was thinking about the wait list.
Up for admissions?
Yeah.
Okay. Just about how that worked.
So the question was, if you are on the wait list, since there are 180 students who got in, is there a chance that a student on the wait list can get in?
The answer is yes, right? So we have I checked yesterday, we have 41 extra students right now that have been offered a seat. So that is about the number of students each year that end up doing something different, meaning they might move in the summer, or they might enroll at a charter school or a private school. So I think the answer is yes, there's a chance. We probably won't know that until sometime in the summer.
Okay.
We have 290 or 283 kids, I think, on our wait list to get in.
Wow. And Fanny, you had a question.
Yeah, since you're taking attendance during advisory, I wanted to know, what is the percentage of the school with regards to attendance? I know there's that 80% for compliance. Do you know?
I'm staring at Liz through a computer screen to see if she has a strong answer there.
I do not have an exact number. It is definitely varying a lot by advisory, with a lot of our younger advisories being much higher attendance than some of our senior advisories. Rough estimate, I would say I think we're probably around 50 to 60% on any given day, which is definitely lower than what our usual is during the regular school year. But considering all the barriers and trying to reach everyone remotely, we're relatively satisfied, but definitely want that to be higher. So want to see as many kids as possible in advisory, just so we can check in.
Thank you.
There's very few kids that we haven't, actually, I don't know if there's one kid still that we like have not had any contact with, right? Like since this whole thing started. But every other family we've like, we've been in contact with them, which I'm aware is not the same thing as like participating in class every day. But I do think that the situations that our families are facing right now really, like the range is just very broad. Any other questions?
I guess this question kind of goes to what you just said about, the seniors even showing up for, advisories, pulling teeth. I hear them all when they're talking to each other, offline, and it's kind of like a game of dare, I'm not going to do it. Are you going to do it? I'll do it if you do. I'm not doing it. So I'm just curious, like, what kinds of brainstorming are we doing to get them to keep doing any kind of work? Like I know an English assignment just came out and there was a uproar on Zoom, and I was like, all right, everybody chill out. But they're kind of like, I'm not doing a 7-page report, and at this point I'm worried about dropping dead. You want me to do so? So I'm like, okay, everybody take a breath. So I don't know, can we give them more choice in what they do? Like do A or B, that kind of bingo thing, where they have a choice of what to do so that they have some agency, because they're just sort of in a, I'm going to decide for myself mode, It's not a question. I'm just kind of.
I think it's a good question. I think that I do think that high school students at this point, you could give them a steak dinner and they would like probably throw up their arms and say like, why are you giving me a $70 steak dinner? That's not what I ordered. So I would push that. Colleges are still, they're in finals this week. And I think that from what I've seen from college professors, some have sort of thrown in the towel and made it super easy. And some are keeping the expectations really high. And I think that college kids, high school kids, all of us have to kind of deal with like the cards that are, that are given. We're not going to stop giving work to kids. So, I know the English paper that they're talking about, right? They get to actually choose what they're researching, right? So like, yes, they have to do some writing, but they can literally research anything that they want to. So I think our teachers are trying. I don't know if that completely answers your question, Mary, but that's probably Chad. Go ahead. Yeah.
There are just two things I wanted to add. One is the fact that this is for students that maybe have failed regents or, we're struggling through the year. The only thing that matters now for them to get to graduate is now the class. So like, I see that as an opportunity and that I would not forego it. And the second thing that I would say is, especially for seniors, if you're not working now, how is it going to be when you start in August or September? Like, it's really, like, I keep thinking about the fact that I'm trying to prepare them for, like, in my AP Lit class, I'm trying to prepare them for college. And especially if colleges next semester are online, the expectation is going to be that you're working on high level, difficult things on your own. So this is an opportunity. I know it's not an opportunity we particularly wanted, but I agree with Luke. We're a school, we have to give work. And if you're giving quality work, if you're giving work that helps students process things on their own to prepare them for what's coming, I think that's the way to go.
One thing that Chad just reminded me of too, if you're the parent of specifically of a sophomore or a junior, sophomores and juniors, most of their classes normally culminate in a Regents exam, right? Those are all passes at this point, right? So if you're a sophomore or junior, you could literally get 80% of your Regents done. You know, like if you're a sophomore that's in geometry, living environment or earth science, global history, right? That's 3 of the 5 right there that are just like done. If you did not pass algebra last year, but we're planning on taking it again this year, that's a pass. That's a 4th, right? Like there's a lot of like this is very, but all you have to do again is like pass the class. So I would just, it goes back to my initial point, like please check jump rope, right? Like log in, check your kiddos' grades, make sure that, you know, that they're on track to earn those credits.
And passing is 65?
Correct.
Okay.
I'd also
Of
just
course,
want
our kids are all going to get 98s, but you know, passing is 65.
Let's do 98. Let's just make it really easy. Really easy.
I also just want to add in that we did have our marking period, our 5th marking period ended last Friday, and teachers are working on putting in grades just so we have like a snapshot. And we'll probably, I know the last few weeks, advisors have been focusing more on conferencing with your children and helping them build their management skills. But we're probably going to be having advisors over the course of the next week or so reach out via email or phone call so that you have a kind of snapshot of where your child's grades are at, to make sure you have that information about how they are doing. So be on the lookout for more information as we get those grades in.
Tracy posted something interesting. Oh, and Luke responded to it. Can we address for everybody what Tracy just posted, that the lack of Regents exams is an opportunity for teachers to teach cool stuff instead of worrying about teaching to a standardized test?
I mean, I'm happy to, I mean, I think that, I hope the Regents just go away in general, right? I think they're terrible exams. And so, you know, without that, it really does, it allows teachers to think differently, right? There's a lot of teachers that think about that exam first when they are planning their curriculum, even though Chad, Liz, and I push them not to, because we think that if you're doing really great stuff and you have kids engaged, the Regents will take care of themselves. But teachers are evaluated from the state on the kids' scores on those. So they like hear us, but then they're like, you know, my evaluation is based on those scores. So if it just went away, it would give a lot of freedom to being able to do that. And like, to be honest, like I think that research paper, right, like the one that Mary was talking about that the seniors are working on, like research papers are things that kids are going to do in college, and like the topic is anything. And so there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of freedom there for students to pick something that's really engaging to them. Like, yes, they have to research, you know, it's not just playing a video game, but like they get a lot of choice there in doing that kind of stuff. What else? Any questions for me? Or Liz or Chad? All right. Well, I'm around literally all the time, so you can always reach out. Chad, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, next week and the week after, the College Board is still having the AP exams.
Mm-hmm.
So just be aware of that. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then there's other times of next week are calculus, literature, and with history. And then there's also going to be environmental science and AP language the following week. So most of them are at 2 p.m. And it's really, the College Board has actually made it much simpler. It's one question, which is higher stakes, but still the idea that students, I see it as an opportunity that students could get college credit for something that I know the teachers all, when they heard what was happening, were like, we're just going to practice that so the students know what to expect.
Mhm.
And I know that I have deconstructed and almost decomposed the question that we're working on. So, and the goal is that really that if students are practicing, that they're going to get college credit out of this, which that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's just one essay question?
For most exams, it's one essay question. The
Wow.
only exam that has more than one question is calculus,
Wow.
which I think calculus is on Tuesday the 12th.
Mhm.
So, and it's a 45-minute test. I think that's they need to like block out an hour or an hour and 15 minutes of their time, and then that's it. So,
Wow.
good luck to all the students that are taking it, and good luck to you too.
Yeah. Evie, are there more things for our agenda for the PA meeting?
Yeah, just a little bit. I wanted a very brief treasurer's report since we haven't really had any activity. But Owen, not to put you on the spot, but do you remember about how well we did last month? We started to try to gather some contributions to give over to the school to give to maker families that were struggling due to COVID-19. So many people have lost their jobs or whatnot. So we did get a few donations, which was really lovely. And I just wanted to give everybody one more opportunity to donate if you forgot to do it last time or you didn't get a chance. And then we will figure out how to turn that money over to the school so that you guys can distribute it to the families that reach out to you that need it. Owen, do you kind of remember how we did last
We
month with that?
currently have $525.
Oh, wow, that's great. Wonderful. So if you wanted, I think I had posted it in the chat box before, but if you didn't get a chance or if you won the lottery and you want to give us more, this is just going right back to the school to help other parents. And we're on Venmo and it's at UA Maker NYC. Right, that's our name on Venmo. There we go. Thank you for reposting that, Liz. I'm so impressed that we were able to quickly just get $500+ in contributions, and then whatever we wind up getting after this, we will turn over to Luke so he can share it out with people who need it. That's great. And then the final thing that I had on our agenda is we are putting together, and I'm actually going to share my screen, so nobody panic when your screen changes, but I'm going to share. Let's see if this works. Okay. So we started to put together a list of resources that is for parents and students for anything that we might need help with during these times. So some of these focus on mental and emotional health for students. Some of it might actually be for parents. Like here, there's some information from the CDC. There's some numbers to call or text if you need 24/7 crisis counseling and support for free. Information for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, if that's something you're concerned about. Links to lists of other links, full lists of New York City assistance for employment if you lost your job, for food if you're short on food, for housing and rent issues, emotional support. So this is kind of a living document, and I wanted to kind of keep it growing and keep it going. My next step was I was going to look up like YouTube videos for how to give your kid a haircut, because I know my kid really needs a haircut. So just to stop sharing and see people's faces again, I'm going to try unmuting everyone, because if you have an idea or if there's a resource that you know about, I would love to add it to our list. And then once we flesh out the list a little bit, we're going to distribute it or give it to Luke and Liz and Vina so that they can send it to everybody in the school as a resource, which I'm assuming that's okay. So I'm going to hit unmute and we'll see if this works. Fanny, your hand was up. Do you want to add?
So one of the things I was,
Yeah, I don't think it's working. We may have to resort to muting everyone when you type. I'm sorry.
okay.
It's a little bit too loud. All right, so it's just me. So we may have to do this by typing because I couldn't hear you at all. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we had a presentation in the past about trauma from,
Yes.
and I was wondering if he could share the presentation, Teens and Trauma, because it was like right before everything happened. But
Yeah, it was from Clint.
it was from Clint, right? And he
Right.
he shared it. He presented it at the Parents Association. And I was
Yes.
wondering if that presentation could be shared with everybody, because especially now, or and then make it maybe into the resource. But I would love that presentation because looking back,
Yeah.
So that's a
Yeah.
request from me.
I think that's a great idea because I have a copy of it, but it's a physical printout because that's what he had brought. So I would love the idea of, making that deck available. Liz, do you think Clint would be able to do that? And Karen is asking, could he do a YouTube video or maybe a Zoom video?
Yes,
Yeah,
I'll
because it definitely explains it. Yes, some of you were at that parent association meeting. I see your faces and your names, and that was a really helpful presentation, not just for teens, but for kids of any age, really, to talk about trauma and how they process trauma and how we can help them through that. So maybe a repeat of that would be helpful. Liz, do you think we should actually incorporate him doing a repeat in next month's PA meeting, or even like one of the weekly Wednesdays? It doesn't have to be PA.
Yeah, I
Good.
will talk to Clint first thing tomorrow morning, and we'll definitely get something on the calendar.
Yeah. Yeah, for those of you who missed that presentation, that was really, really helpful. Thank you for that, Fanny. Margaret, I see your hand up. I'm unmuting you, except it's not unmuting. Where are you? There you are.
Hi, this is just a FYI. I work for the Human Resources Administration, HRA, Public Assistance. So if anybody need cash assistance, rental assistance, and or SNAP food stamps, they can apply on Access HRA, Access HRA, and they could do a whole interview via computers. I've been working 7 days a week doing applications for the Bronx, actually.
Wow.
So that's Access HRA. If they have any rent issues, you have to have 3 months behind in rent, even though they're not doing any evictions. And food stamps and cash is depending on what type of income you're receiving. So even if you are receiving unemployment, they're going to have to budget that to see. You might not be eligible for cash, but you might be eligible for food stamps. And you're right, it is Access HRA. It's a mobile app.
Oh, it's an app.
It's an app.
Fantastic. I just added it to the list. That's why I was typing while we were talking. It's an app, Access HRA app. Thank you. That was incredibly helpful. I just added it to the list, and that's really great. Is anybody else?
You're doing.
Andy?
Oh, I just said thank you for the work you're doing, Margaret.
Yeah. You are an essential worker. Thank you, essential worker hero.
Yes, I've actually been working remotely, but for 2 weeks I had to go in, and it's a little crazy, but anything to do.
Okay. All right. Well, put on your hazmat suit. Be really careful because we need you. Thank you. Does anybody else have a great recommendation, or maybe there's something that you want to find out more about that some of us can research? I can tell you from personal experience, if you go to YouTube and search, how do you give your husband a haircut? There are 9 million brand new videos, and I'm sure there's something for what do you do with your teenage boy who likes his hair long, but it's too long. So YouTube is a great resource for things like that. Anybody else have any thoughts, questions, or anything that you want to add? Anything for how to motivate the kids to keep doing the work? Ooh. Can I put one of our teacher/administrators on the spot to share some thoughts on how to motivate the kids to keep doing the work while I put that note into my document here? Motivational tips.
Spray them. No, that was my thing. I think we should spray them with like a small, like the little 99-cent store water thingies that they only have like 3 hits.
Mm-hmm.
If you put it in the fridge, the water will be very cold. I think it will get the right type. I'm just putting that out there.
Is that what works at school, Venus? So you're walking around spraying people?
You know, yes.
Just said, yeah.
Yeah, they did not want to go to class.
Mm-hmm.
They would get sprayed. They did. Mostly their socks, like right at the ankles.
Mm-hmm. I think in our house, you know, my son had something that hopefully is still going to happen that he was very much looking forward to doing this summer. You know, we all have our fingers crossed that maybe it'll still happen. But if he has to go to summer school, even if it's virtual summer school, he can't do it. So, you know, he's already motivated, like, I want to do well, I want to pass, I don't want summer school, I want to make sure that that other thing happens. So there's that, and there's the fact that I have made myself so incredibly annoying because I'm always here and I'm always asking, how you doing your work? Don't you have a class now? How are you doing? How are you doing? That he's doing it just to shut me up, I think. But I see that there's sort of bribery on here with small bribes. I mean, sometimes that works. Any other thoughts on, and I added it to my list so I can do some research and see if I find any articles or websites to add to that document that I'll send around. Other than that, that was our agenda for today. So we're certainly open for more questions or comments, or we can give everybody 15 minutes back if they want it. I'll keep an eye on the chat box or look to see if anybody raises their hands. Oh, what? And yes, I do really love the fact that we can do these remotely. I mean, there is something to be said for having to go to your student's school, because especially in high school, it's like the only time we get to go there and see the place in person sometimes. So I understand why it's important to get to meet your community in person. That's a very important aspect of this, but also I understand how much easier it is for everybody to just dial in from home. So hopefully the chancellor will see reason and open that up a little bit. Oh, and your hand is up. You want to unmute?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that my kids have actually got into a rather a sort of interesting routine of sort of getting up and just like cranking through all their schoolwork sort of first thing, almost before breakfast. And they're finding it a lot easier to do work kind of on their own time. So locking your kids into, you know, you have to keep school hours might not be productive.
Okay. Yeah, as long as they're doing the work. That's
as far as I can tell.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. All right. Well, I guess the last thing I wanted to say is we do have one more PA meeting of this school year, which will be the first Wednesday in June. Although I'm so happy that the Maker has every Wednesday at 5:30 now. They just kind of like opened up a forum for people to come in and talk. So we'll keep you updated then on what we know. But I do want to congratulate the parents of seniors, because decision day has come and gone, and I know that we have senior parents on here, and I keep following on Instagram all the students and the choices that they made, and they look like amazing schools, and I'm so excited for them and so jealous of them because it's such an exciting time. And just from everybody on the executive board, congratulations to all of our seniors for getting into college. 100% of our seniors got into college, which is amazing. It's amazing. It's really amazing, and it wouldn't have happened without not only the school, but you parents, because, you know, if we're not there to support the kids, it's not going to happen. So congratulations, everybody. And we'll see you soon.
All right.
And I just have to do a shout out to Ivy. It wouldn't have happened without Ivy. She's guides those kids every step of the way. She's awesome.
That is awesome.
Also, a really big thing is the chancellor Carranza like noticed what we were doing, and he like reached out to one of our seniors and congratulated them. Like it was on Twitter, and like
Wow.
he also noticed that we were doing something, and it was really amazing. Like a lot of people like put that on the sidelines. For Ivy, it was still like keep your eyes on the prize. So I was really impressed. So.
And if you're a parent of a junior, she is already starting to get them ready. As soon as decision day happened for our seniors, the next day she was starting with the juniors and helping them with their college applications and letters of recommendation. So she's just doesn't miss a beat and is starting with the next group.
Absolutely.
And it goes to that thing about, you know, they're at that age where they don't want parents to hover. If you're a worrier or a hoverer, you really don't have to, because she is on it and they trust her and she's got them every step of the way.
That's great. All right.
All right.
All right.
Great
Well,
meeting,
See you
Edie.
next
Good
month,
job.
folks.
I guess we have our officially, we're unofficially adjourned. Meeting. But thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Next time.
Bye-bye.